Star Wars 7x7 episode 2280. So I have a bit of a listener question inspiring today's episode, which is, where in the world is the DVD for The Mandalorian? Punch it. Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod, and this is Star Wars 7x7, your daily dose of Star Wars joy. And thank you so much for joining me for it. So Tim McMahon, who is a person you've probably heard on this podcast before, I've shared excerpts of the Fandomverse podcast and the old Comicverse podcast that he and I did for a while, and he's been on as part of the Podcasters on Podcasting when he was doing Less Than 12 Parsecs. Well, he's also a patron of the show and a longtime supporter, and so I'm very grateful to him for a number of reasons, and in particular today for asking a question that I thought was worth pursuing, because it seems kind of strange that we haven't heard anything about this yet, and that is, when is The Mandalorian coming out on DVD or Blu-ray, and probably even more importantly, will it even come out on DVD and Blu-ray? So I'll give you the short answer, which is, at this moment, we don't know. There has not been an official announcement. However, there is a clue out there that suggests very strongly that they are going to do it, and also some evidence kicking around as well. I will get to that in a second. But one of the things that strikes me is that we've got this whole Mando Mondays thing starting off on October 26th. And yes, there have been pre-orders. The DVD didn't show up in pre-orders in there, but there were a whole bunch of other things. And I'll tell you, this whole Mando Mondays thing, they have promoted it as a situation where you watch the Mandalorian episode on Friday, and then the following Monday there will be new products that you can check out. Well, I don't maybe this is just a lack of vision on my part, but already right now, if you go to Amazon's page for The Mandalorian, there is an endless scroll of products, of t-shirts and tank tops and hoodies and tumblers and stickers and books and all of this stuff. Like, you will just go insane trying to actually scroll and get to the end of it. And I did, and I counted, and it was 361 items that are on Amazon right now specific to The Mandalorian and tagged with the whole Mando Mondays branding. So my goodness, if they already have 361 items out on their website, what on earth do they have left to drop? And over on the Disney Store website, right, just, home base for the company, more than 150 products, 151 exactly. And thankfully, I didn't have to scroll and count. There was actually a neat little thing up in the navigation that said 151 products. So that made life a lot easier. But my goodness, like, if they already have, well, I was going to say they already have, 512 items just between Amazon and the Disney Store, but there could be some overlap. I didn't do that level of analysis for you. I'm sorry. That seemed like it would be a little much. But if they've already got that much stuff, what on earth are they going to be releasing between now and the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian? Well, one of the things that seems to probably factor into the discussion is that the whole reason The Mandalorian is being released on Disney Plus is so that you will subscribe to Disney Plus, right? So that way you will pay the money to go see it on their particular streaming platform. But not everybody wants a membership to the streaming platform. Not everybody can afford an ongoing membership to the streaming platform. Some folks may just want to pay for a month once the season comes out and binge watch it and be done with it. And hey, they only paid, whatever, $6-7 to be able to watch the whole series, which, kind of makes a lot of sense if you're trying to watch your nickels. But in thinking about DVDs specifically, so I thought about this from a couple of different angles. First of all, there's the Rise of Skywalker, right? So they sold DVDs for that, even though it eventually wound up on the Disney Plus service, and they still have DVDs out there. It's not like suddenly you can't buy them anymore. They haven't instituted a vault procedure like Disney did with their own films, right? So that's still out there, but that doesn't quite work the same way, because the movie debuted in theaters and then went to Disney Plus, whereas The Mandalorian, of course, debuted on Disney Plus. So the nearest thing I could think of that would be analogous is season 6 of The Clone Wars, which debuted exclusively on Netflix in the United States. So it was on their streaming service for the longest time. And yes, now it's on Disney Plus. But they sold DVDs of season 6 of The Clone Wars as well as having it on Netflix. So that suggests that they would be into the idea of selling DVDs even if it is on an exclusive streaming platform. Granted, that was somebody else's platform, not their own platform, but they are receiving licensing fees for, selling it to Netflix. So you would think that if they were concerned about the fees or, the amount of money they could get by selling it to Netflix, that maybe they would consider holding off on selling DVDs of it. Maybe. Hard to say. Clone Wars Season 7 debuted on Disney Plus, but it actually debuted, much more recently comparatively, February versus October for Season 1 of The Mandalorian. So, yeah, I don't think we can look at Season 7 of The Clone Wars just yet. There's no DVD for that either. But here's the thing. There's one thing that I think is giving away the game. It doesn't give us a date yet, but I think it gives away the fact that they are going to do this. And before I share that with you, I'm going to share that you have the opportunity to get a free audiobook download and a free 30-day trial if you go to sw7x7.com/audible. And yes, we're talking about DVDs of The Mandalorian. There's going to be a Mandalorian book eventually by Adam Christopher that's coming out next year, and I'm sure it's going to get spectacular treatment. And man, oh man, to include Ludwig Göransson's score as part of that whole audiobook experience, I think will be fantastic. Granted, that's a while away, but there are hundreds of other Star Wars titles you could check out right now at sw7x7.com/audible for your free audiobook download and free 30-day trial. And thank you so much for considering it and considering supporting the show. So when I went looking for information about the Mandalorian DVD, I ran across an ad on Google that was specifically the Mandalorian DVD in the title and Shop Disney. And it was actually a link directly to the Disney store. So Disney themselves are advertising on Google about the Mandalorian DVD. They are setting up ad campaigns for people who are looking for this thing. So granted, it's a little bit bait and switchy, right? If you search for it and there's an advertisement that says The Mandalorian DVD and it refers you to Disney's own store, but and it's not there. That's kind of frustrating, to be honest with you. But the fact that they are already advertising for the Mandalorian DVD, and for all we know, they're also gauging interest by seeing how many people are clicking on these sorts of things. That could be happening as well. But the fact that they're investing money in this particular thing suggests that somewhere as part of Mando Mondays, they are going to release a DVD version of Season 1 of The Mandalorian. And heck, I'll even throw in one last thing too. It occurs to me that the fine folks over at CBS are releasing the Star Trek Discovery series on DVD and also are releasing the Picard series on DVD as well. Obviously, CBS can do whatever it wants, and that doesn't necessarily mean that Disney will do it too, but, it's another indicator that certainly seems like it is possible. We just don't know when just yet. And so, Tim, thank you so much for asking the question. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for joining me for this episode, Tim, and you listening to this or watching this too. And may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
Star Wars 7x7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2020 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.